Well, thank you. Well, first of all, I don't think that you can really say that China is a status quo power, taking into account the expansion to Spratly Islands, to struggle for the maritime deposits and so on. And military budget of China is really expanding, and China is.
You know what percentage of GDP those figures represent?
Well, I know, but Japan spends only 1% of GDP, but has a very good army, and the Chinese are doing the same. And what is
2% of GDP?
What is a bit worrying is an attempt to create a blue water navy and really power deployment capability.
Janusz,
but that's not discussed China.
Janusz, if I may, that was not my point. My point was that during 30 years, China had one priority, which was the modernization of its economy to move from $500 of GDP a year to a situation where China joins the middle class. They have done this by, amongst other things, by having a status quo foreign policy, and by keeping their military spending, by any definition, at a relatively small percentage of GDP. Now they have the ability, because they have become the world's second largest economy, they now have the possibility to massively build up their military forces and to China today does not have the force projection capability of either Britain or France, but on the current trends, they will have it within, I would say, the next 10 years. It is called a build-up, but it is a build-up from a very, very low base, which we also tend to forget. But the dynamic is phenomenal.
The dynamic and power projection capabilities. Well, excuse me, I have 7 people on my list. I would like to give the floor to everybody, but I would like to ask everybody to be rather short in asking the questions, and also I would rather like you to rather be very concise. Well, now I have somebody there. It's you. No, at the back. Okay.
Well, okay, I'll be very short. No, okay. I promise.
Okay, good.
Łukasz Kulesa, Polish Institute of International Affairs. Well, I agree that we should be watching China carefully. I would be much more concerned about challenges closer to NATO territory, basically at NATO's backyard, the Middle East. What is the future of NATO's involvement in the Middle East? We had the Istanbul Cooperation Initiative, but the progress is very slow, the aims are very confusing, and some of our partners, especially in the Persian Gulf, actually want us to do something and not just tell them what NATO is. So, is there a plan to do something in the Middle East, or should there be something, more of a NATO involvement in the Middle East? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Wouldn't you mind if we will sort of take some questions and then you will sort of, respond to them? Okay, it's you.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman, for the mic. And first of all, I have a constructive proposal to save the time discussing China. I think there is a missing link in this triangle. Let's propose NATO-China Council. I think this is something we are missing. There's a Shanghai Cooperation, there is NATO-Russia Council, so let's have NATO-China Council. Seriously, Łukasz has stolen a part of my question, Middle East, but I put it more broadly. NATO is good in proliferating partnerships, as we've heard. It's also trying to do counter-proliferation, but it's not that much successful in non-proliferation. What I mean, Ukraine has been mentioned, giving up nuclear weapons. There have been several arrangements where some states have given up their nuclear aspirations. In some cases, the price was that they have been given assurances by United States. My question is to all of you, but it's to Heather Conley primarily. We've heard Secretary Clinton last summer mentioning extending US nuclear umbrella to places like Gulf. What that would mean for NATO and for strategic concept. And shouldn't we also think about offering incentives to states who will be ready to give up their nuclear aspirations, and to provide some better examples than the Ukraine, which has created some frustrations later on? Thank you.
Thank you. And now over there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Spaladze from Georgia. So today, several times we mentioned problems, new treaties, new challenges. Of course, they are multi-faced, but they are interconnected. And therefore, problems we have in Georgia and South Caucasus region, not just our problems. There are serious treaties and challenges for entire European security. And to solve them, I think the significant role could play effective mechanisms of early preventions. What could new strategic concept could set about it? Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Bobinski. Oh yeah.
Thank you very much. All of this has already been said, but I just want to underscore what my colleagues from Ukraine said about the guarantees given to Ukraine when they gave up nuclear weapons. This is a very important thing. These were serious promises which are given by serious countries, and something has to be done about them. Ukraine has been bullied, has been pushed around, it has been intimidated, and no one has done anything. So maybe it could be worked into NATO membership for Ukraine. That way we could drop the guarantees and Ukraine could just become a safe country as a member of NATO. The other thing is, of course, that there are people who talk about nuclear disarmament, and some of them are serious about this, and the fact that a country was given guarantees and those guarantees weren't fulfilled is a very bad precedent for anyone who does want to give up their nuclear weapons in the future, because we know that you take a country which has nuclear weapons is taken seriously, like North Korea. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And the last question? Yes, you.
Hi, I'm asking this question because Janek Smolar ordered me to. My name is Constanze Stelzenmüller from the German Marshall Fund, and I would like to lob a bit of a curveball in the direction of the podium. And I agree with Francois Heisbourg when he says that I think American interest in NATO is declining. And on both sides of the political aisle. I think NATO is of interest to America solely to the degree that Europeans contribute added value. And to the extent that they don't, the Americans are not interested in NATO. I think full stop. What does that mean? We've had the NATO Secretary General here making some suggestions for solving the NATO-EU interface problems, but it seems to me that that is not enough. Very simply, we have 27 militaries in Europe that are both bloated and inadequate, and we are also broke. All of us are broke. In an economic crisis, it's become very obvious that none of us really are able to afford full spectrum forces, and that includes the big three, Germany, France, and Great Britain. So my question to you is, what can we do in Europe? And I say this, of course, knowing that the suggestions for a European army have come from Poland in particular. What can we do, maybe not a European army, but what else is there that we can do to improve our efficiency and our effectiveness as Europeans and as partners for NATO? Thank you.
Thank you. And General?